the Military Order of the Purple Heart here this evening, honor guard to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody would at this point, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Guard, halt, right, pose colors, present, horse. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ready? Right shoulder, forward. Order, forward. At this point, Mayor, if you read the proclamation.
At this point, our mayor has something to say.
I've been coming to these city council meetings now for about 9 years, and I don't think I've had the honor of a ceremony such as this or an occasion such as this before a council meeting, during a council meeting. So with that, it's my honor to offer the following proclamation. Whereas, chartered by an act of Congress in 1958 for combat wounded veterans, the Military Order of the Purple Heart is composed of military men and women who received the Purple Heart Medal, which is awarded in the name of the President of the United States to members of the armed forces wounded in combat with an enemy force, and posthumously to the next of kin members of armed forces killed in combat. And whereas the Military Order of the Purple Heart organization was formed in 1932 for the protection and mutual interest of all who have received the combat decoration. It is composed exclusively of Purple Heart recipients and is the only congressional chartered veteran service organization comprised strictly of combat veterans. And whereas the Order of the Purple Heart for military merit, established by General George Washington during the Revolutionary War at Newburgh, New York, August 7, 1782, is the oldest military decoration in the world in use present. And whereas, in recognition of this date and the estimated 1.7 million veterans since World War I who have been awarded this Medal of Honor, the Chiillicothe City Council and I, as representatives of the City of Chiillicothe, desire to be among the many to become a Purple Heart City. Now, therefore, I, Luke Feeney, Mayor of the City of Chiillicothe, Ohio, and on behalf of the City of Chiillicothe City Council, do hereby proclaim June 28, 2021 as Purple Heart Day here in Chiillicothe, as a tribute to the service and sacrifices of our veterans, and especially the valor of the extraordinary men and women who have earned the Purple Heart. Furthermore, on behalf of the City Council and citizens of the City of Chiillicothe, I proudly accept the official designation of Purple Heart City. And I confirm our commitment to honor those who serve and have served so faithfully in defense of our freedoms as Americans, and gratefully acknowledge their sacrifice, bravery, and unwavering commitment as patriots. Thank you.
We're happy to add another city to our fold. And on behalf of our order and Department of Ohio, congratulate the city and award this plaque. Military Order of the Purple Heart, special recognition awards bestowed with pride to the city of Chiillicothe, Ohio. For your dedication and support, honoring America's combat wounded veterans, becoming a Purple Heart City, presented by the Patriot members of the Department of Ohio Military Order of the Purple Heart, United States of America. I don't know, is anybody going to get a pic?
Gentlemen, if you could move that flag over just a little bit, I can, if you could, because it's right in the middle of the two of them. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, fellas. I've got a great recording of that.
So at this point, if anyone in the council wants to come out for a photo op and join the Purple Heart Honor Guard to take a photo, you can. If not,
I will definitely allow that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely, fellas.
Just a little.
Once again, gentlemen, we thank you so very much for bestowing this honor onto our city, and also for coming and being with our meeting this evening and presenting the honor guard and the Pledge of Allegiance for us. Thank you again so very much. Moving on, we will go to the approval of our journal. The minutes of the previous meeting have been distributed for review. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes? Mr. Prohl, seconded by Ms. Lewis. Roll call on the motion to accept the minutes as they are.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Prohl.
And the minutes from the previous meeting have been approved. At this point, we will move on to our reports from our committees. We will start with our community affairs. Mr. Phillips.
Thank you, President Arnold. At this time, Community Affairs has nothing on the agenda and nothing to report this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. We'll move to our Human Resources Committee, which is Mrs. Payne. Oh, never mind. You've moved. I've got the camera set for you to be in the chair, and I come over here. There's nothing here. You're fine. Give me 1 second. I will go to camera 3, and we will go to Dave Tatman, and you should be sitting close enough to him that we've got you. There you are. You're good. You don't have a microphone working. Sorry. It's linked. Now just hit it again. You're on. There you go.
Okay, shall I start over?
That's up to you.
We do have one item on the agenda this evening. It's an ordinance amending ordinance 2121 to adjust the first year lifeguard pay rate to $10 per hour retroactive to the beginning of 2021 hiring, and increasing the pay rate of the head lifeguard position to $12 per hour and declaring it an emergency. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to our development, which is Ms. Nickerson.
Thank you, President Arnold. Development doesn't have anything on the agenda tonight, so we don't have anything to report.
Okay, thank you. From there, we will move on to finance. Mr. Prohl.
No items. Finance has no items on tonight. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Ms. Corcoran's not here for Parks and Rec. Does anybody have a report with her being absent? No. We will move to engineering, which is Mr. Shoemaker.
President Arnold, engineering does not have anything on the agenda tonight. However, I would like to schedule a committee meeting to discuss 21053 Sunrush Enterprises infrastructure expenses. Should be relatively simple project, and it's to fulfill our obligation to pay for improvements off of Western Avenue.
When would you like to hold the meeting, Mr. Shoemaker?
I know we have the long holiday, so Monday's out of the question. So maybe Tuesday, if the engineering committee. Well, we can wait till the, okay. Let's go for Wednesday,
Wednesday,
next Wednesday.
next Wednesday?
At 6 o'clock. Let's go 6 o'clock.
That's 6, that'd be the 7th, right? I believe. Okay, 6 o'clock?
Yeah,
You having it here in Chambers?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
And that concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. We'll move on to City Services and Transit, which is Mrs. Lewis.
Thank you, President Arnold. City Services Transit has one item on the agenda tonight. It's number 4, which is a resolution adopting the Ross County Active Transportation Plan and declaring an emergency. At the appropriate time, I will ask to waive the 3-read rule. In regards, I have 3 assignments that you sent to me on Friday. I'd like to have a meeting, committee meeting on this Wednesday. Would that be okay?
Oh, you're doing it this Wednesday or a week from Wednesday? This Wednesday?
I was,
Well,
I just wanted to get-
this Wednesday will give you plenty of time to get the assignments turned into the law director. You want to do
Not
this
Wednesday.
Wednesday? Okay, that'll
I
put
just wanted to
it
get them on the
at, put it at the
agenda.
30th then. Okay.
So yes, at 6:30? I don't know, whatever time, before or after? Okay, after engineering, I will have my meeting regarding 21-052, 054, and 056. Safety Service, Councilwoman Gillum is not here, but she asked me to discuss she has 2 items on the agenda tonight. One is the number 2, which is an ordinance appropriating $14,532.04 from the general fund to police outside contracts as reimbursement of police funds. At the appropriate time, I will ask to waive the 3-read rule, as well as number 3, which is an ordinance authorizing the Chiillicothe Municipal Court to apply for the Ohio Attorney General Victims of Crime Act grant and the State Victims Assistance Act grant to extend the Chiillicothe Municipal Court Victim Witness Assistance Program. And at the appropriate time, I will ask to waive the 3-read rule at that time for Safety Service. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Lewis. We will move on to, last but not least, in any way, our not engineering, I'm sorry, utilities, Mr. Tatman.
Thank you, President Arnold. The committee I'm on does not have anything on the agenda tonight. I have had a couple of phone calls and emails concerning parking and parking meters and the swimming pool. And I did have a brief message to the mayor about the splash pool or whatever it's going to be called. So there's some questions out there that, the person that called me about the parking was actually a downtown owner and operator. And I'm thinking, okay, somebody's not really paying attention to what's going on. But I don't know if there's anything else we can relay to the people if we do really have any issues, because their first thing was, don't have any parking. I'm going, well, we've been hearing that since I've been on council and before. There's parking, but like our buddy that owns some of the property down there, he said there's not a parking problem, there's a walking problem. And, that's just something we have to deal with. And that's all I've got to report on tonight. Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Tatman. We move on to our mayor, Mr. Luke Feeney.
Thank you, President Arnold. Start with tonight's legislation. I'd like to offer my support for the passage of all 4 items tonight. I believe they're all up for the waiver of the three-read rule, and I believe that's appropriate for all tonight. The first one being a clerical oversight, and the next two being items that involve essentially programs that we are committed to or bills that we have to pay. And then the last one reflecting continued cooperation with the health district and many of the grants and opportunities that they have going on there. None of the four, I think, have any controversy. So I'd ask for your respectful support on those four items tonight. I'll shuffle the rest of my report to address Councilman Tatman's questions or issues, all three of which I think are good and valid. I think downtown parking in particular is a topic that obviously has been discussed for a long time. It was something that was passed and approved during the pandemic, which, as we were all kind of getting our sea legs with Zoom and that sort of thing, I know that communication, that sort of thing, on an item like that was a challenge and continues to be somewhat of a challenge. So as a primer for council, and for anybody watching at home, I'll just run through quickly how the downtown parking works now, and update you because it is a work in progress. So the meters, you have two pay options. The meters on the street are $1 per hour in 25-cent increments. You can pay either by inserting coins in the meter or by logging onto an app called Park Mobile. If you log on and use the app, your parking meter itself does not have a location number. Instead, you are in a zone, which all of the meters in that zone just go by the same zone. I think there are 5-digit zone number. But for example, if you parked in front of this building tonight, you'd be in a certain zone. You'd go into the app, and when the parking enforcer comes by, instead of looking at the meter, which may be expired because you didn't put coins in, they would check the app to see if you'd paid and if your license plate matches somebody who's paid via the app. Just as of late last week, there is more information on the meters than was there before. You might have noticed in this council approved decorative sleeves that go over the meters. The heads themselves, we were able to save significant amount of money by reusing the old heads, but we are going to powder coat them. They have to be removed to be powder coated and then put back on. So there's going to be a little bit of a time lag with that. But we decided to go ahead and put the stickers on anyway to just try and convey more information. We have two paid parking lots in the city, one at the corner of 4th and Paint and the other on 2nd Street behind or next to the Elks. Those are both currently, because we don't have heads installed, those are both app-only lots right now. They are also a different rate of pay, essentially being able, it was the recommendation in this council's approval to make lot parking cheaper than on-street parking. So essentially, the closer you are to a desirable place to park, the more expensive it will be, and the further you have to walk, the cheaper it is. We kind of had it reversed for many years. So a couple things will continue. One is I just reviewed 3 sign options for better signage and communication today. It's really important to me and to all of us, I know, that we communicate how the system works. It's confusing. The rollout has been slow. Some of that slow rollout, frankly, is intentional because we did at least a month of sort of warnings to train people. But really, the thing I want to encourage, especially council, to understand, to be able to relay to shop owners, like you were talking to, Councilman Tapman, is that the Chamber of Commerce supported this initiative, and that at the end of the day, the need for meters is driven by a desire to have people have the availability to park in front of shops, go in, spend money, and move on. Without the meters, we had no ability to enforce parking, which meant that anybody could park in front of any shop all day and restrict people from coming to our community and enjoying by shopping, dining, so on and so forth. And so that seems counterintuitive at times, because if you own a shop, you might think, well, I don't want my customers to have to pay. When in fact, in many communities, And most communities that are bustling and growing like ours, you do have to pay for parking around the prime spots. And so I will be the very first to admit that I think our communication and information on this rollout definitely could have been better and can continue to be better. So we're committed to better communication there. There are also free parking options very close to downtown. There's a free parking lot on Water Street. You can go to 4th Street. You can go down Paint Street, south, 5th Street. And like Councilman Tatman perhaps eloquently stated, that the walk is not one that is of any lengthy duration. That said, we recognize that walking is not, or a trip of even 100 yards is not ideal or possible for everybody. And so we're continuing to work on and listen to residents and shop owners that have other accessibility needs to make sure that our downtown is welcoming and accommodating for all to visit. So hopefully that helps clear up some of those answers. I know, or the questions. I know it has been confusing, but I think understanding the intent is probably the most important way we can help educate. The pool, we've had some issues, and they've been twofold. One, we actually got national press on. I don't know if anybody saw this, but a screenshot of our Facebook post wherein we posted that we could not, we were closing one day because of lack of lifeguard availability was on Good Morning America last week. So I don't think it was good or bad. It just was. But we were momentarily famous last week. So there have been challenges around hiring or staffing. I think that the ordinance that you have in front of you tonight will help that because there are not a lot of lifeguards around and many pools that want to hire them. So paying them in accordance with this new ordinance will help. And then the other thing is that 2 years ago, or 2 summers ago, a new pump and motor were installed at the pool. And over Friday, that system went down. And so today, the company who installed it came down, and it's a 1-year warranty, but we weren't open last year. And so really, it's basically a new motor. It's operated for about a month now and had issues with. It's fixed as of today. The pool will reopen tomorrow, and then this Friday, actually, sponsored by our local area McDonald's, is a free pool day for the community. And then on Sunday, we will be open in the evening for the fireworks. So it's hot out, the pool's open again, and we can all be happy. The splash pad was building steam before the pandemic. It's not a fundraising conversation that I've had recently, but it's certainly not been sort of canceled or anything like that. So I think anybody who had committed splash pad finances or funding, that is still sort of a work on project, although it's been, I think, momentarily paused as we had more pressing issues over the past year. I think that covered your questions, Councilman Tatman. We have awarded the bid on the 2021 paving program, and so paving will start early to mid-July. And additionally, this is a project that I don't know, many of you weren't on council when we designed this project, or at least when it was first proposed, but we have put forth a proposed project, or did put forward a proposed project for Watt Street from Eastern Avenue to 7th, maybe a little bit further than 7th, maybe to the railroad. That is a pretty significant project. We're using local dollars, Ohio Public Works grant money, and Community Development Block Grant money, all combined to do paving, stormwater. For many might not know this, but there's a whole section of town over there that doesn't have any stormwater facilities. So there's going to be stormwater on Watt Street for the first time, and sidewalk. So that is a project that we have received bids on. We have not sent the letter of award yet, but I just met with city engineer today. The letter of award will be going out this week, and that's, I think the bid came in at $560,000. Very big project for Watt Street. So that's a very good thing. In conjunction with that, much like we did with the project last year, which is now complete, up on going into Brewer Heights, we're going to do just a public information session for Watt Street residents and really anybody in the public who has questions, wants to get information about that project, because we're not going to be taking down any fences or anything, but we will be going into the right of way, and the project will be disruptive for people in that area. As a part of the bid packet, though, that's many familiar with Cargill. Cargill, it's been a topic of many conversation because of the truck traffic over there. As a part of the bid packet, we made sure that access to any businesses on that street will remain open. But we just want the public to be aware and be able to answer any questions before that project starts. So that information session will be coming soon. We have today, Monday, the 28th, is the start of the last week of large item pickup. I think I just heard the refuse department give a celebratory cry for the end of that. So last week, if your garbage day is Friday, this is your last week for large item pickup. Appreciate everybody who's taken part and advantage of that. I think I already mentioned fireworks. We're still taking donations. Donations are up quite a bit over previous years. Very appreciative of those people that support that for the community. It's going to be a great event and sort of a welcome back to festivities for the city. And then finally, mentioned with item 4 tonight, the active transportation plan. There's just been a lot of good collaboration over the past couple years with the health district. I think I mentioned last meeting, ODOT. There's another collaboration we're working on with the health district right now, wherein I think we'll have some access very soon. We're in conversation right now about how it'll be applied, but for some design and potentially infrastructure work around city streets and facilities, making them more sort of active friendly. So that might mean the funding or design of bike lanes. It might mean what's known as a complete street design and potentially construction. Councilman Shoemaker brought that up last year, 2 years ago now, when we were talking about 2nd Street. And complete streets are really sort of maybe the way of the future. I'll know more later this week, but the way that the community is and different agencies are clicking together and collaborating right now is just a really positive thing for everybody. So I'll have more to report on that item, hopefully at our next meeting. I'm usually long-winded, but I think I'll blame this one on Councilman Tapman for his questions. I'll conclude my report there. Thank you, President Arnold.
Thank you, Mayor Feeney. Informative for sure. Thank you. From there, we'll move on to a report from our auditor, Mrs. Spetnagel.
I just want to announce that I will be conducting a public hearing on July 12th at 6:45. That's before council to present the 2022 tax budget. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Spetnagel. And we will move on from there to our law director, Ms. Villarreal.
Thank you, Bruce. We have 3 things to tell you. The first one has to do with some training goals for our office staff members that we're going to do related to file review and them preparing the files for the prosecutors in the Chiillicothe Municipal Court, including the OVIs, the domestic violence cases, those things, and as well as the public record requests and sunshine law training for them as well. The second thing I need to tell you about is that our office has requested a committee assignment with regard to appropriation for special prosecutors in the Chiillicothe Municipal Court. we're required to appoint a special prosecutor when we become aware of a conflict involving one of our prosecutors. There are currently 6 open cases being handled by specials as of this date. Those attorneys are going to be invoicing our office upon the conclusion of the case. We'd like to have the funds appropriated to get them paid promptly, as well as for the cases yet to be assigned to special. The assistants, one of the assistants, our law director assistants, has discussed this topic with Judge Street as far as the specials, and we anticipate updating the procedures for appointments in the near future, with payment of invoices being handled by the law director's office, according to the judge. Third thing is we're going to be requesting submitting a request for committee assignment for our part-time clerk, who is currently 40 hours per 2-week pay period, to work additional hours in the event of a staffing shortage due to the extended absence of another staffer, which we've ran into. I don't expect it to occur frequently, but it is exceptionally important that they stay on top of that heavy time-sensitive workload. And it's really become apparent recently when we've had staff members that were dealt with family emergencies, as well as COVID, medical leave, and we'd appreciate your consideration for those things. And that's my report.
Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Moving on to myself. I really don't have anything to report. I'd again like to thank the Honor Guard for coming in and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance and giving us the dedication to the city. That was very, very nice. And with 4th of July coming up, I'd just like to tell everybody out there to enjoy it, but please be safe and have a good time on 4th of July. Moving on from there, we go to audience participation. We do have a council rule that limits each speaker to 5 minutes presentation. Total limitation of 15 minutes per subject. Do we have anybody in the audience that would like to address council this evening? Okay. I do not have a microphone on that side, so if you would, you can come up, speak loud, please. I think we can pick you up. Yeah, you can give her that. Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. That's fine.
Has the clock started?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
For our records, though, we do need, if you would please, we do need your name and address, please.
My name is Melody Lapsinski. I live at 355 Brennan Road, Chiillicothe, Ohio, 45601.
Thank you.
Has the clock started now?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't. Do you have a lot to say?
No, I don't,
Okay.
but I just
Well,
want to make
that's fine. No, you're fine. Go
Okay.
Go ahead. Don't worry about
I
the
didn't know if
clock.
I should stop or wait or whatever.
Don't worry about the clock. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank you all so very much for everything you've done related to getting Chiillicothe designated as a Purple Heart City. My big goal tonight was not to start crying when all this was going on, and so far I have pulled it off. So I really, really appreciate everything that you've done. Can't tell you how much I appreciate it. Secondly, I wanted to tell you that we have a dedication that will happen for the public. We have a date of, although I have to say this has to be qualified. I have to get this passed through Veterans Council and the Veterans Commission. But right now I have a tentative date of September 12th, 2 o'clock. It's a Saturday. I am hoping that it will be in the Veterans Park, but that is to be determined because that also has to be approved. Likewise, I have been shopping and I have found a lovely granite monument, black granite monument, that I would also like to put somewhere, hopefully in the Veterans Park. But that is also subject to change. It will go somewhere, And finally, I just want to take the remainder of my 5 minutes because so many people have contributed to this with support, and I want to make sure that the people that are out there watching this know who those people are. So I'm going to read off everybody that provided me with a letter of support for this wonderful thing. Accurate Mechanical, Inc., Adena Health System, AFGE National VA Council Local 1631, Air Force 338 Recruiting Squadron, Chiillicothe, American Legion Post 62, American Legion Post 757, AMVETS, Bernie and Mac Stained Glass, C&J Electric, Carlisle Barbershop, Charlie's Flowers, Chiillicothe and Ross County Public Library, Chiillicothe Kitchen and Bath, Chiillicothe Fire Department, Chiillicothe Mayor Luke Feeney, Chiillicothe Police Department, Chiillicothe Ross Chamber of Commerce, Chiillicothe VA Medical Center, Clearsight Vision, Cooper's Glass, Krispy Kreme Donuts, D.E. Huddleston, Daughters of the American Revolution, Nathaniel Massey Chapter, DAV Chapter 18, Fire and Stone Pizzeria, Globe Furniture, Goebel Hearing Center, Howler Funeral Home, Her Foods, Pernstein Auto Group, Hometown Hibachi, Ivy's Home and Garden, Julie's Shop on Paint, McDonald's Restaurants, Mears Photography, Me's Jewelry, Norse Auto Mall, Ohio Representative Mark Johnson, Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, Ohio State Highway Patrol Chiillicothe Post, Old Canal Antiques and Primitives, Paper City Coffee, Petland, Pixel, Porch Swing Days Antique Shop, Whorehouse at Machinery Hall, Printex, Our Kitchen, Republican Women of Ross County, Rivers Bend Bicycle Shop, Ross Chiillicothe Convention and Visitors Bureau, Ross County Commissioner Doug Corcoran, Ross County Commissioner Dwight Garrett, Ross County Commissioner James Udilo, Ross County Genealogical Society, Ross County Historical Society, Ross County Sheriff, Ross County Treasurer-elect David Jeffers, Ross County Veterans Services Commission, State Farm Herbie Strange, the law offices of Thomas M. Spetnagel Sr., Tomlinson Insurance Agency, Urig Financial, United States Marine Corps, Chiillicothe, United States Navy, Chiillicothe, United States Representative Brad Winstrip, United States Representative Steve Stivers, and United States Senator Sherrod Brown, and Wheatberry Books. I wanted to make sure that everybody recognized that these people thought very strongly about this effort too. That's all I have. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
As I said, in order to speak, we do need your name and your address, please.
Yes, sir. My name's Robert Leach. I live at 79 West 5th Street. I am here as one of the Ross County Veterans Commissioners, also a member of the Ross County Veterans Honor Guard. I want to publicly thank the City of Chiillicothe for their support of the event, Ross County and the Nation's Wars, that took place on May 8th. Many of you remember that, especially because we had the Eyes of Freedom, which was the murals that commemorate the Marine Corps dead from Lima Company, who were all killed in Iraq, including our local son, Aaron Reed. I especially want to thank the Parks and Recreation Department for their work on that.
not just having the Veterans Park ready to go, but a lot of work on the Armory to have it presentable as the place where the murals for Lima Company was. And many of the visitors, and a lot of them were from out of town, commented on how glad they were to be able to go into the Armory. So, a lot of people said they had not been in the Armory since the 1960s, and they were happy to see the use of that. So I'm working on a manuscript of a publication called Ross County and the Nation's Wars that will tell a one-page story of 321 names on all of our monuments. But I want to highlight, in the time that I've been working on this, it's very ironic, two individuals who were classified as missing in action have been accounted for by the Defense Prisoner of War Missing in Action Accounting Agency. One of those was named James Wilmer White, who was from the Pomeroy area, but had moved here, had a job in the local area in the 1940s, and entered the military from here. And when his remains were accounted for at the cemetery in Hawaii, he had been with a unit called Merrill's Marauders and was ruled missing in action, and they finally were able to identify his remains with DNA testing and modern forensic analysis. They returned to the family and buried in Pomeroy, but our mayor prepared a proclamation proclaiming that day as James Wilmer White Day here in Chiillicothe, as well as the fact that Pomeroy had done the same thing there. I want to thank Mayor Feeney for his assistance on that. The other individual who was accounted for, named Joseph Hoffman, many people are familiar with that name because American Legion Post 757 is named after him. He was on the USS Oklahoma at Pearl Harbor and missing in action because that ship capsized and they could not identify the remains. They identified his remains last September. And so right now, it's pending what the final disposition is going to be. The military located a very distant relative in Texas who has the final say on where those remains should be buried. They may choose Arlington Cemetery or something like that. However, the cemetery in Greenfield, Ohio has a family plot and an open grave for him with a memorial on it. And so we hope that the relative would choose that. In the hands of the Department of the Navy is a letter from the Chiillicothe mayor that explains what we would do to support the return of those remains to southern Ohio. Joseph Hoffman was born in Greenfield, but by the time he was 8 years old, lived here in Chiillicothe, actually on Park Street within sight of the World War II monument that bears his name. I just wanted to go over all of that because I'm sure the council will be interested as we get more information on what might happen if we're going to have a procession or something like that through the city, maybe on the way to Greenfield with the remains. So, sir, I thank you for your time. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir, very much. Do we have anybody else in the audience that would like to come forward and speak this evening? All right. Not seeing so, we will move on to old business. Does anybody have any old business they'd like to bring up? From there, petitions and correspondence received by the clerk.
We are in receipt of a liquor license application received on June 25th from the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. It's for a transfer of ownership of Wobbly Ghost LLC, DBA Wobbly Ghost Tavern at 289 East Main Street, first floor and basement, transferring to Faye A. Perry, DBA Owl Tavern at 289 East Main Street, first floor and basement. Are there any objections to this application? Thank you.
All righty, thank you. We move on then to new business. Anybody have any new business they'd like to bring up? Okay, we have a couple of committee assignments that have been given out since the last meeting. I'll real quick try to run through them here. We have safety services, appropriate $25,000 for special prosecutor fees if there's a conflict in council in the municipal court. Human resources to adjust the hourly wage for the lifeguards, which we have on agenda tonight. City services to appropriate $120,899.20 for the city's share of costs for improvements to the law enforcement complex. Engineering, a request to appropriate $44,000 for a reimbursement committed to Sunrush Enterprises. City services, request for $16,000 towards the purchase of a new refuse truck. I guess the price is going up since we've had the first estimate. Park and Rec, a request to accept donated property at the northeast corner of Poland Park. Currently, the city has been maintaining that. And City Services, a request for to appropriate $61,500 for the purchase of road salt, which you wouldn't think would be in the middle of summer right now, but that's our assignments that we've had since our last meeting. We have some meeting dates that have been brought up, which is 2 committee meetings that will be this Wednesday here in Chambers beginning at 6 o'clock, engineering and also city services. And then we do have a public meeting prior to our next council meeting, which will be July the 12th at 6:45. From there, we move into our legislation. And whenever you're ready, Ms. Fleckner, we'll start off with item number 1.
First reading of an ordinance amending ordinance 2121 to adjust the first-year lifeguard pay rate to $10 per hour, retroactive to the beginning of 2021 hiring, increasing the pay rate for the head lifeguard position to $12 per hour, and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Ms. Payne. I have a motion to waive, seconded by Ms. Nickerson. Roll call on that motion, please.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
Yes.
Motion has passed. Roll call on the legislation.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
Yes.
That ordinance has passed. Hopefully we can stay out of national TV and have lifeguards. Item number 2, please.
First reading of an ordinance appropriating $14,532.04 from the general fund to police outside contracts as reimbursement of police funds used for the city's share of the law enforcement complex construction project and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
President Arnold, at this time, I would ask to waive the 3-read rule.
I have a motion to waive, seconded by Mr. Phillips. Roll call on that motion.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
Yes.
Motion has passed. Roll call on the legislation.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
Yes.
And that has that ordinance has passed. Item number 3, please.
First reading of an ordinance authorizing the Chiillicothe Municipal Court to apply for the Ohio Attorney General's Victims of Crime Act grant and the State Victims Assistance Act grant to extend the Chiillicothe Municipal Court Victim Witness Assistance Program, accepting said grants if awarded and declaring an emergency.
President Arnold,
Yes,
at this
Ms. Lewis.
time, I would ask to waive the 3-read
I have a
rule.
motion to waive, seconded by Ms. Nickerson. Roll call on that motion.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman? Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
Yes.
Motion has passed. Roll call on the legislation, please.
Phillips?
Yes.
Payne? Nickerson? Tatman?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Shoemaker? And Prohl.
And our last item, number 4.
First reading of a resolution adopting the Ross County Active Transportation Plan and declaring an emergency.
Yes, Ms. Lewis.
Me. At this time, President Arnold asked to waive the three-read rule.
I have a motion to waive, seconded by Mr. Kroll. Let's try and give somebody over here a chance. Roll call on that motion.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman, Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Prohl.
Motion has passed. Roll call on the legislation, please. Yes, sir. What you need, Lou?
Devin, I can forward you the plan too. Oh, okay.
Very good.
Does that answer?
That's fine.
There's
Does that
everything
answer
from, yeah. Oh, so there's everything in regards to goals of, the metropolitan housing, transit, health district, the public library, suggestions along those lines.
Okay. You okay, Mr. Schumacher? Okay. All righty. Then the motion has passed, so we'll move on with the reading or the roll call for the legislation.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman, Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Prohl.
We have 6 votes in favor. No, we don't. So, we have 7, 1 abstain. We do have 6 votes. So it does pass and merge, and it will carry forward as an emergency. All right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. So that resolution has passed as well. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add this evening to this meeting? Yes, Ms. Nickerson. Okay, I have a motion to go into executive session. What was I didn't hear. Okay, I need a second. Ms. Lewis, and roll call on the motion to go into executive session.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman, Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Prohl.
Everybody make sure your microphone's turned off. We will go into executive session. All right, everybody. We need a motion to come out of executive session. Do I have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker, seconded by Ms. Nickerson to come out of executive session? Roll call on that motion.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman, Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Pro.
And we're out of executive session. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add to the meeting this evening? Yes.
I do have one bit of information. I do have confirmation that the commissioners have adopted formally the active transportation plan. If you'd like to revote.
Okay. All righty. Anything else to add to this evening, folks? If not, do I have anybody like to entertain a motion for adjournment by Ms. Lewis, seconded by Ms. Nickerson? Roll call on the motion to adjourn.
Phillips,
Yes.
Payne, Nickerson, Tatman, Lewis,
Yes.
Shoemaker, and Pro.
Folks, we are adjourned. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. Take care.